Welcome to BHP's latest Making Tax Digital update for VAT and cloud accounting, presented by Simon Buchan and Joe Gilpin from BHP and Neil Sheehan of Xero. In this update, we'll be keeping you up to date with where MTD is at the moment, how BHP can support you, the benefits of adopting cloud software, there'll be a Xero demo, and then what your next steps should be. Making Tax Digital was introduced by HMRC to try and avoid careless errors made on VAT returns by taxpayers, which they estimate currently cost them around £9.5 billion a year. It will be introduced from the 1st of April 2019 and is compulsory if your taxable turnover exceeds the VAT threshold of £85,000. There are no technical changes to VAT itself. You will still submit VAT returns and pay any tax due in the same way as you do now. What it does introduce is a requirement to keep digital records in a software package and to submit your VAT returns from that package. And so, if you currently keep your records in manual format, you will not comply with the new requirements and you will need to change your accounts to a compatible software package. If you currently keep your accounts in a computer package or in a spreadsheet, then these may not be compliant after the 1st of April 2019, so you should review these before then and, if necessary, change to a package which is compatible. I will now hand you over to Joe, who will tell you about cloud accounting.
Hi, my name's Joe and I look after cloud conversions at BHP. So in addition to the benefits Simon's already mentioned, that cloud accounting software is HMRC MTD compliant, which means from April 2019 you'll be able to use the software to submit your VAT return to HMRC under the new rules. There are lots of other added benefits. One of the benefits is quicker bookkeeping, so the software can connect to your online banking to bring in your transactions. This will save you time typing them in manually. There are lots of other features that you can adapt to your own accounting needs to save time when you enter in your account's information. It also means that your financial data is more accurate because it's coming straight from the bank account and it's intuitive, so it remembers information already entered. This reduces the amount of human input errors. Because it's bringing in information every day, you've got real-time up-to-date accounts, so you don't have to look at historical figures. You can use up-to-date figures to make financial decisions. Because it's on the cloud, it's on the internet, so you can access it anywhere with an internet connection, which makes it easier for you to access and also easier for us to access as your accountants, so we can look at it at the same time as you. This means that we can help you make better financial decisions and assess how the business is performing. So, how can BHP support you on your journey through cloud accounting? First of all, we'll discuss your individual situation to create a tailor-made solution. We'll then convert your existing data onto cloud software. Whether you're on desktop software, manual or Excel records, we can create a solution for you. We also offer training and support packages. I'm now going to hand you over to Neil from Xero, who's going to do a demo on the software.
Thanks, Joe. So what is Xero? Xero is beautiful cloud-based accounting software that connects people with the right numbers anytime, anywhere and on any device. We're proud to be helping over 1 million subscribers worldwide transform the way they do business. And we're just getting started. And we're the UK market leader with over 300,000 subscribers. So let's go and take a closer look at Xero. So I've now logged into Xero, and what you'll first see is the dashboard. So the dashboard here showcases all the key information about your business. So we have the bank accounts on the left-hand side. Scrolling down, we can then start to see graphically where our cash has gone in a particular period. We've also got at the top right the account watch list. So what we're doing here is actually pulling out certain nominal codes for you as business owners to keep on track of. So you can see that I'm now keeping track of sales and also advertising, entertainment and inventory cost as well. And pretty much everything within Xero is when you start to use it, everything is drillable. So you can go into it, click into the £10,984 to see exactly what makes up that particular figure. So everything's really easy to use. If I scroll down, what you'll start to see here now is your invoices owed to you. So for your customers that still owe you money, you'll start to see now exactly how much they owe. And if I drill down to say, right, okay, in this week, I'm owed almost £3,000 from a customer, I can click into the graph, and what that will do is then it will showcase which customer or customers are actually due to pay me money this week. So you can see there the 3 customers. So I've got City Limousines and then Port and Phillip Freight. Okay, so really easy. If I jump back onto the dashboard, So that's the sales side, so I can see who owes me from my customers. I can then create a new sales invoice really easy from within here. But I've also then got the same for purchases. So these are the bills that I need to pay. So you can see that I've yet to pay 2,200, so that's older than the days that I should have paid, so I should really get on and pay those. And you start to say, okay, so this week I should pay £1,600 to some of my suppliers. So rather than just seeing numbers all the time, we're actually trying to show you graphically, okay, what, how much and when is money to be spent out. And we've also then got expense claims. So if you have employees out and about on the road incurring costs on behalf of your company or your business, then you can get them to download the mobile application and they can then start to take photos of their receipt and submit on their behalf and for you to then approve here. So that's the dashboard. So pretty much all the key information is there. The next thing I just want to show you is bank accounts. So bank accounts within Xero is a completely revolutionary way of dealing with it. So what you're used to probably is exporting a statement or receiving paper statements through the post. But what we do in Xero is we link to the vast majority of UK bank accounts. And what that means is that the banks will send us the data every morning and they will put that into your Xero account for you. So what you'll be left with is this reconcile 28 items. So rather than you manually having to type all this bank statement transactions into your accounting software, we'll automatically feed that data into here for you. So then what you'll be left with is this page. So if I click the reconcile 28 items, I tend to say that's my to-do list. So today, so if I've logged into Xero, top left of my dashboard, there's 28 items that I need to reconcile on my bank. So then what you'll be left with is your bank reconciliation screen. So rather than making this reconciliation a monthly task, what we try and do with Xero is actually make this more of a daily task. So you come into here and you'll see on the left-hand side is what you would normally see as your paper statement, where you'll be ticking off to the transactions that you've already created in your other software. But what we're trying to do here in Xero is actually trying to work for you and help you along the reconciliation routine. So I've normally got the paper statement to the left, but what we've got on the right now is actually Xero working with you. So you can see that as soon as a transaction comes through from the bank, so trucks and property management of £1,181.25, what Xero is doing now is it's looking to the purchases ledger. Have you got any bills outstanding for trucks and property management? And what it's saying is, yes, I found one. It's got the right date. Okay, it's got the same payment. It's gone green. It's found a match. And all you would simply need to do is click OK. And that's done two things. That's paid the invoice off and also reconcile that transaction line. Okay, so it's kind of removing one of the steps that an old way of reconciling used to be. So where you have to go and find the invoice, pay it off, and then go and do the bank rec. We're actually doing it all from the bank rec screen. Exactly the same for sales. So you'll see that we've received an amount from Ridgeway University of £6,000. It looks to the sales ledger to see is there an invoice outstanding from Ridgeway University. There is, so we can go, yeah, okay, that's correct. I'm going to click OK, and that's again done two things. It's paid the invoice off and also reconciled the transaction line. Just a couple other things on the bank. What Joe mentioned earlier is around the collaboration. So with BHP, you can now start to collaborate with them more frequently. So say, for instance, you are going through the bank reconciliation yourselves and you're not quite sure on how to deal with a particular transaction. So rather than leave it or wait to the year end for BHP to help you sort it out, what you can do is you can actually put a discuss item in here and then contact BHP or Joe and then say, well, I'm not too sure what to do with this. Can you help me? And then they can go in at the same time and log in, have a look, and they can then work with you to get that sorted. So it's a really nice way of you collaborating together with BHP. So what Xero also does is it learns what you do. So you can see that if I come down to this particular transaction, Ridgeway Banking Corporation, if you see to the right hand side, it's automatically remembered what I did the last time this transaction came through the bank. So the last time Ridgeway Banking Corporation came through, I coded it to the contact, Ridgeway Bank, to the nominal code bank fees, that's what it relates to, with a slight description. And is it the same again this time? Yes, it is. I click OK. And then what Xero done is then posted that straight to bank fees for me. So rather than you having to type that manually every single time that transaction comes through the bank, we start to learn what you do. And we then start to pre-populate the data for you. So that's bank recs within Xero. The next thing I'm going to move on to is sales invoicing. So if I go to accounts and then sales, you'll get to see now a really nice dashboard of where you're at with all your sales, so how much people owe you. So I've got 5,000 here that is still awaiting payment from my customers. Of that 5,000, I've got £1,000 that's actually overdue. So the terms that I've provided my customers, they're still yet to pay me within those terms. So I should really click into that to see exactly who those 5 customers are. Okay, it'll tell you then how many days they are overdue. So City Limousines here for £250 was actually 78 days overdue, so I should really get on top of that and get that money in. So it's a nice way of chasing your outstanding sales invoices. We go back to sales. So if you just wanted to create a new sales invoice, it's simply just click new in here, and then you can then say the to, so that's the contact. So let's just say this is Bayside Club. So they can then select a contact. If, for instance, you hadn't invoiced Bayside Club before and you wanted to create a new contact, you can just do that within here as well. You don't have to go to contacts to create a new contact. You can just do that on the fly here. But I'm going to use Bayside Club in this example. So you can see there, if I didn't want to, I can create a new contact here. But no, I'm going to use Bayside Club. And then the date, so today's date, I can then give them default terms. So you can set that within settings. So say if my normal terms of business are 30 days, you can do that within settings. Or you can just say, right, okay, it's just going to be plus 30 days on here. Moving along, so the rest of it, your invoice sequential number, you've got a reference field. You can create multiple branding themes. So what that is if you have different sales invoice templates, you can create those within Xero and add them in here and change it here. If you use multi-currency, you can specify the currency. So we link to xe.com. And what that means is you can have any currency that xe.com provide. And what we'll do is Xero will go and fetch the mid-market rates and automatically update the necessary rate for you within Xero. But then coming down to typing the data in, so I can then say this is sales, and then one and tabbing along. We learn what nominal code you've used in the past. You'll notice that I've already invoiced Bayside Club in the past, so it's saying I put that last time to sales, so that's the same again this time. Yes, it is. I'm just going to leave it. The unit price, £250. Okay, and then obviously the VAT has come into that as well. So once I've approved, that's now sat under awaiting payment. You've got a number of options now on how you get that out to your customers. So we've got the old school way of printing a PDF and posting it. You've also got the option of emailing. So you can email with a pre-populated template here, but again, you can change the terminology within settings. Email addresses automatically get picked up from the contact screen. And then what you can do is you can also include the PDF attachment. So then they're sending in the email with the PDF attachment of the invoice. And what you can do is untick that, send. And what we do is we include an online invoice link. So rather than sending a PDF so someone has to type that PDF into their software, what we're trying to do at Xero is actually try and make things all online, all through the cloud. So if we use an online invoice link, I'll then send that, and what will happen is your customer, they would receive a link that's similar to this within their email. They would click that link on their email, and then what they'll see is an online view of your invoice. So the really good thing about this is exactly the same invoice as you've seen before, but what happens is you've now got the ability to accept online payments through a payment provider, whether that's PayPal, Stripe, or Go Cardless. So rather than your customer having to log into their online bank and paying you through your bank account details, so account number and sort code, you could set up a payment provider in Xero that means that when they come to this page, they can click Pay Now, and then that will direct them to the provider that you've selected. So in this instance, it's going to take me to PayPal, and then they can then pay by credit card or through PayPal automatically in here. They can log in, make a payment, or if you use Stripe or Go Cardless, it's similar process, but it just be a different screen in here. The beauty of accepting these payments is you will get paid faster. So we've seen statistics on this and from our end, and those that use the online invoicing functionality, they've drastically reduced their debtor days. So they're getting their money in a lot faster from customers by providing that simple green Pay Now button. So if I just go back to the invoice, the other good thing about sharing an online invoice is that you can actually see when your customers have actually opened up the invoice. They've seen that invoice. You can see exactly what date and time they viewed the online invoice. So if they are struggling to pay, you can actually say to them, well, I've noticed that you've received the invoice and you looked at it at this particular date and time. So it's lots of key features and lots of key ways of utilising the online bill. And you may have seen at the top right is if you do still send it as an online invoice and they want to have it as a PDF on their file, they can still download it as a PDF. Or if they use Xero themselves, they can actually save it directly into their Xero account. Equally, if you start to use Xero and you start to receive those online invoice links from your suppliers, you can do exactly the same. You click the link and then you can then save this invoice into your Xero account. So rather than this manual typing of the data, it's actually trying to flow between the two companies quite easily. So that's how easy it is to create sales invoices. The other option within sales is if you want to create repeating invoices. So say for instance you start to sell things monthly as a subscription or as a retainer, then you can come down here. So rather than just creating a simple invoice, I want to create a repeating invoice. And if I click into that, you'll get a box at the top that just says what are the repeating options. So I want to repeat every 1 month, starting from 31st of July. I can give it an end date if needed. And then also I've got 3 options. So I can get Xero to say, right, every month, so the 31st of every month or the end of the month, I want Xero to generate this invoice for me, but I want it to save it as a draft so I can amend the amount possibly. Or no, the amount doesn't change, I want Xero to generate this and automatically approve it. Or you can take it one step further and say, right, I want Xero to generate this invoice at the end of every month and also automatically send it to my client as well. So I don't actually have to raise any more invoices if you're just doing this monthly repeating invoice and the amounts stay the same. So I can create approve for sending and then Xero will automatically generate the invoice and then also send it to your customer. So a nice way there of speeding up your invoicing. So that's sales. So the next option is purchases. So similar screen to the sales side. So you can see I owe £7,479 to my suppliers, of which almost £5,000 of that is overdue. So I should really get on and pay those transactions. But if I just say I've received a new bill from a customer, I can click new bill. And then what you can do is, you may have seen this icon on other screens. So where you see this icon, it means you can attach files directly to the transaction within Xero. So rather than keeping a separate paper file somewhere, what you can start to do is actually attach the source document against the transaction within Xero. So you're starting to become paperless. So later on, if we want to drill down and see, okay, what was that transaction, you'll be able to see it in Xero and then also see the associated invoice directly on the screen. So what you can do is you can just drag and drop the image. So let's say I have received an invoice from a supplier. I'm just going to drag that invoice onto the screen. So invoice 36 onto the screen. You'll see now that's been attached against this purchase bill. If I click into it, if I open that up, you'll then start to see the invoice on the screen. And then what I can do, that's in the way a bit there, but what I can do is I click this icon, the arrow at the top. And what that does, it puts it side by side. So you can now see, right, I've got the invoice that I've received from my supplier on the left. I've then got to type out the details on the right. So I can then just copy and paste the detail into here and then populate the remaining fields. So it's from an orange invoice, obviously with the dates, and then put in the nominal codes as well. So, and then once I click approve on this, what that will happen is it will go against the system into Xero with that invoice attached. So then you can then review that invoice at any time later on. That's purchases. So the next thing to show you is some of the reporting. So if I just go to reports up here, what you can do is you can mark certain reports as favourites. So we've got the most common reports here. So let's say, right, okay, I want to run a P&L. So when you first log into the P&L, you'll see that it automatically defaults to this financial year. But if you click the drop down, you can easily change that to the last financial year if you wanted, or last month, last quarter, or you can, if you needed to, run a custom date range. But I'm going to leave it as this financial year. So if I scroll down, you can then start to see that I'm in March 19 year. I can see currently I've raised £25,000 worth of sales. I can drill into that to see exactly what makes up the sales. I come in to see, well, advertising is quite high this month. It's 8,000. What is that? Let's drill down to see exactly what makes up that £8,000. Really nice, really simple, really easy. But what you've got with the reporting in Xero is it's really flexible to amend the report. So if I click Edit Layout at the bottom left, you'll come into our Layout Editor where you can add in multiple columns now, move nominal codes around. So I can scroll down and say, well, I don't want consulting to be there. I want it further on down. I can just drag it and move it. I can add in multiple columns. So at the moment I've only got this financial year. But okay, I want to bring in a new date column. I want it to be last financial year. So I've got March 19 currently. I'm going to get March 18. I can then add another date in. Let's go for March 17. Another date. So at the moment, those 3 I've kept there as years. But you can then start to bring down financial quarters, whether you want month to date, quarter to date, year to date. The options are endless. Or a custom date range. or if I just get rid of that, you can then bring in formulas. So I could say, right, okay, I want a variance formula between between 18 minus 17, so what the variance was between those 2 years. You can do exactly the same for rows. You can create formulas by rows as well. So if you want like a gross profit percentage, you can bring that in here. You can create groups. There's quite a lot you can do in here within the layout editor. But if I click done just to accept those changes, you'll start to see then the variance. So there isn't any data in 17, so it is just going to give me a variance of the total amount in 18. But then you can start to see exactly how easy it is to do. And if that's the kind of report that you want to run frequently, so rather than having to generate that every single time, I can come down here and click Save As, Custom, and I can save that as a custom report. So whenever I want to run the P&L in the future, it's going to show me those 3 years with a variance as well. So really nice and really easy. Other reports you may want to use are your age payables and age receivables. So if I click All Reports, you'll see all of our reports that are available. Then you can see you can just star them if you want to make them a favourite. So my age receivables detailed report is currently set as a favourite. So if I click into that, you'll see then exactly who of my customers owe me money. So as of today's date, so the 31st of July, I could see that there's a few customers here that still owe me money. So you can see exactly the details of the invoices there. There's loads of reports in Xero. Like I said, I've just shown you there, they're all tailorable. You can amend them, you can bring in additional columns, you can do all sorts with them. So that's some of the core functionality of Xero. So going through the dashboard, the banking within Xero, how you raise a sales invoice and a purchase invoice, and then finally just on the reporting side, how easy and flexible it is to maintain and run new reports. We've also then got a Xero application. So you'll see on the screen I've now got the Xero app. So it's got Touch ID if you're on iOS. You'll see I'm in the demo company. Exactly the same. So I've got a dashboard so I can see exactly where the money is within my bank accounts. So if I click into one of the banks, the top bank, I can do the reconciliation screen in here as well. So you'll see that Ridgeway Bank has come through and it's remember it's found what I've done. And I can say, right, yeah, that's correct. I can click OK. It's now reconciled that transaction. The next one, I can then start to create that next transaction. So you can reconcile on the mobile phone app. You can also raise sales invoice and see who owes you money from a sales side. So I can click the plus, I can create a new invoice or I can create a new quote. So if you're out and about, you can create a new quote. So once you've done a job or you create a new invoice once you finish a job, you can do that from the mobile app. You can also create a new expense item within purchases. You can see how many bills you need to pay, also where you've recently spent your money. And finally, you've got a contact screen as well. So these are a list of all your contacts within Xero. So if I go into basket case, you'll see I've got their email address and their phone number. And if that was a normal phone number, I can click into that and then call that directly from the mobile application as well and see their address. So all of that within the Xero mobile application available from iOS and Android phones. So that's a brief overview of Xero. So if you wanted to have a look further, then please do contact Joe at BHP for a more in-depth demonstration. I'll now hand you back over to Joe, who will now finish this video.
Thanks, Neil. So, what are the next steps for you? If you want to talk about MTD or cloud conversion, please speak to Simon or myself or your usual BHP contact. We hope that you've enjoyed this and found it useful. Thanks for watching.